All right. Chapter 30. Shoot. 30 shoot. 38. February 7th, 1922, an explosion of startling intensity in the sky of the northwestern point of the London Triangle. Repeating phenomena in a local sky in L'Astronomie 36-201. It is said that at Orsay, February 15th, 1922, a detonation was heard in the sky, and that 9 hours later a similar sound was heard, and that an illumination was seen in the sky. It is said that 10 nights later at Verneuil, in the adjoining province, Oise, a great fiery mass was seen falling from the sky. March 12, 1922, rocks that have been falling from the clouds for 3... Sorry. Allergies. Falling from the clouds for 3 weeks at Chico, a town in the earthquake region in California. Large, smooth rocks that seem to come straight from the clouds. In the San Francisco Chronicle, and in issues dating from the 12th to the 18th of March, clippings sent to me by Mr. Maynard Shipley, writer and lecturer upon scientific subjects, if there be such subjects, the accounts are of stones that for 4 months had been falling intermittently from the sky, almost always upon the roofs of 2 adjoining warehouses in Chico, but upon one occasion falling 3 blocks away, a downpour of oval-shaped stones, a heavy shower of warm rocks. San Francisco Call, March 16th, warm rocks. It was said that crowds gathered, and that upon the 17th of March, a deluge of rocks fell upon a crowd, injuring 1 person. The police combed all surroundings. The only explanation that they could think of was that somebody was firing stones from a catapult. 1 person was suspected by them, but upon the 14th of March, a rock fell when he was known not to be in the neighborhood. The circumstances point to one origin of these stones stationary in the sky above the town of Chico. Upon the 1st of January 1922, the attention of Marshal J.A. Peck of Chico had been called to the phenomena. After investigating more than 2 months, he said, I could find no one through my investigations who could explain the matter. At various times, I have heard and seen the stones. I think someone with a machine is to blame. Professor C.K. Studley, vice president of the Teachers College, Chico, is quoted in the Examiner. Some of the rocks are so large that they could not be thrown by any ordinary means. One of the rocks weighs 16 ounces. They are not of meteoric origin, as seems to have been hinted, because 2 of them show signs of cementation, either natural or artificial, and no meteoric factor was ever connected with a cement factory. Once upon a time, dogmatists asserted, angrily declared sometimes, that all stones that fall from the sky must be of true meteoric material. That time is now of the past. See Nature 105-759. A description of 2 dissimilar stones cemented together seen to fall from the sky at Cumberland Falls, Kentucky, April 9th, 1919. Miriam Allen DeFord has sent me an account of her own observations. About the middle of March 1922, she was in Chico and investigated. Went to the scene of the falling rocks, discussed the subject with persons in the crowd. While I was discussing it with some bystanders, I looked up at the cloudless sky and suddenly saw a rock falling straight down, as if becoming visible when it came near enough. This rock struck the roof with a thud and bounced off on the track beside the warehouse, and I could not find it. I learned that the rocks had been falling since July 1921, though no publicity arose until November. There have been other phenomena at Chico. In the New York Times, September 2nd, 1878, it is said that upon the 20th of August, 1878, according to the Chico record, a great number of small fishes fell from the sky at Chico, covering the roof of a store and falling in the streets upon an area of several acres. Perhaps the most important observation is that they fell from a cloudless sky. Several occurrences are listed as earthquakes, but Dr. Holden, in his catalog, but the detonations that were heard at Oroville, a town near Chico, January 2nd, 1887, are said, in the Monthly Weather Review, 1887-24 to have been in the sky upon the night of March 5th and 6th, 1885, according to the Chico Chronicle. A large object of very hard material, weighing several tons, fell from the sky near Chico. In the year 1893, an iron object said to be meteoric was found at Oroville. My own idea is either that there is land over the town of Chico or not far away, inasmuch as objects from it fall with a very narrow distribution, or that far away and therefore invisible, there may be land from which objects have been carried in a special current to one very small part of this earth's surface. If anyone would like to read an account of stones that fell intermittently for several days, clearly enough as if in a current or in a field of special force of some kind at Levet near Clairvaux, France, December 1842, see the London Times, January 13th, 1843. There have been other such occurrences. Absurdly, when they were noticed at all, they were supposed to be psychic phenomena. I conceive that there is no more of the psychic to these occurrences than there is to the arrival of seeds from the West Indies upon the coast of England. Stones that fell upon a house near the Pantheon, Paris, for 3 weeks, January 1849. See Dr. Wallace's Miracles in Modern Spiritualism, page 284. Several times in the course of this book, I have tried to be reasonable. I have asked what such repeating phenomena in one local sky do indicate if they do not indicate fixed origins in the sky. And if such occurrences supported by many data in other fields do not indicate the stationariness of this earth with new lands not far away, tell me what it is all about. The falling stones of Chico, new lands in the sky, or what? Boston Transcript, March 21st, 1922, clipping sent to me by Mr. J. David Stern, editor and publisher of The Camden, Geneva. March 21st, during a heavy snowstorm in the Alps recently, thousands of exotic insects resembling spiders, caterpillars, and huge ants fell on the slopes and quickly died. Local naturalists are unable to explain the phenomena, but one theory is that the insects were blown in on the wind from a warmer climate. The fall of unknown insects in a snowstorm is not the circumstances that I call most attention to. It is worth noting that I have records of half a dozen similar occurrences in the Alps, usually about the last of January, but the striking circumstance is that insects of different species and of different specific gravities fell together. The conventional explanation is that a wind far away raised a great variety of small objects and segregated them according to specific gravity, so that twigs and grasses fell in one place, dust some other place, pebbles somewhere else, and insects farther along somewhere. This would be very fine segregation. There was no very fine segregation in this occurrence. Something of a seasonal or migratory nature from some other world localized in the sky relatively to the Alps is suggested. May 4th, 1922, discovery by F. Bernard of 3 long mounds in the lunar crater. Archimedes, see the English Mechanic 115-194, 218, 268, and 278. It seems likely that these constructions had been recently built. St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, May 18th, 1922. Particles of matter falling continuously for several days. The phenomenon is supposed here to be of volcanic origin, but all the volcanoes of the West Indies are reported as quiet. New York Tribune, July 3rd, 1922. That for the 4th time in 1 month, a great volume of water or a cloudburst had poured from one local sky near Carbondale, PA. August 15th, 1922, a large quantity of white substance that fell upon the shores of Lake Michigan near Chicago. It fell upon the clothes of hundreds of persons, fell upon the campus of Northwestern University. Likely enough, fell upon the astronomical observatory of the university. It occurred to one of these hundreds or thousands of persons to collect some of this substance. He is Mr. L.A. Hopkins III, West Jackson Boulevard, Chicago. No, wait. That's not the third. That's 111 West Jackson Boulevard, Chicago. He sent me a sample. I think that it is spider web because it is viscous. When burned, it chars with the crinkled effect of burned hair and feathers, and the odor is similar, but it is strong, tough substance of a cottony texture when rolled up. The interesting circumstance to me is that similar substance has fallen frequently upon this earth in October, but that in terrestrial terms, seasonal migrations of aeronautical spiders cannot be thought of, because in the tropics and in Australia, as well as in the United States and in England, such showers have occurred in October. Then something seasonal, but seasonal in an extra mundane sense, is suggested. See the Scientific Australian, September 1916, that from October 5th to the 29th, 1915, an enormous fall of similar substance occurred upon a region of thousands of square miles in Australia. Time after time, in data that I have only partially investigated, occur declarations that during devastations commonly known as earthquakes in Chile, the sky has flamed, or that strange illuminations in the sky have been seen. In the Bull-Sized Society American, for instance, some of these descriptions have been noted and have been hushed up with the explanation that they were the reports of unscientific persons. Latest of the great quakes in Chile. Hang on. Latest of the great quakes in Chile, 1,500 dead recovered in one of the cities of the province of Atacama. New York Tribune, November 15th, 1922. Again, today, several earthquakes shook the province of Coquimbo and other places, and strange illuminations were observed over the sea off La Serena and Copiapo. Back to Crater Mountain, Arizona for an impression. But far more impressive are similar data as to these places of Atacama and Copiapo in Chile. In the year 1845, M. Darlou of Valparaiso read before the French Academy a paper in which he asserted that in the desert of Atacama, which begins at Copiapo, meteorites are strewn upon the ground in such numbers that they are met at every step. If these objects fell all at one time in the earthquake region, we have another instance conceivably of mere coincidence between the aerial and the seismic. If they fell at different times, the indications are of a fixed relationship between the part of Chile and a center somewhere in the sky of falling objects, commonly called meteorites, and of cataclysms that devastate this part of Chile with concussions, commonly called earthquakes. There is a paper upon this subject in Science 14-434. Here, the extreme abundance asserted by M. Darlou is questioned. It is said that only 13 of these objects were known to science. But according to descriptions, 4 of them are stones or stone irons, differing so that, in the opinion of the writer, and not merely so interpreted by me, these 4 objects fell at different times. Then the 9 others are considered. They are nickel irons. They too are different, one from another. So then it is said that these 13 objects, all from one place, were, with reasonable certainty, the products of different falls. Behind concepts that sometimes seem delirious, I offer a reasonable certainty that, existing somewhere beyond this earth, perhaps beyond a revolving shell in which the nearby stars are openings, there are stationary regions from which, upon many occasions, have emanated meteors, sometimes exploding catastrophically over Atacama, Chile, for instance. Coasts of South America have reeled, and the heavens have been afire. Reverberations in the sky. The ocean has responded with islands. Between sky and earth of Chile, there have been flaming intimacies of destruction and slaughter and woe. Silence that is conspiracy to hide past ignorance, that is imbecility, or that is the unawareness of profoundest hypnosis. that the seismologists too have functioned in preserving the illusion of this Earth's isolation, and by superembryonic processes have been hypnotized into oblivion of a secret that has been proclaimed with avalanches of fire from the heavens, and that has babbled from books of the blood of crushed populations, and that is monumentalized in ruins. That's it. Book's over.